Terminator Dark Fate has finally released a trailer, and now we're seeing in motion a version of the image that we got, like, was it the end of last summer or last September, and that's like the only thing we got up until now.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, all we got was the actual teaser images. So I will say we got a lot of traction when we released the video, just like dissecting that image and suggesting that John Connor might not be alive. I'm thinking more and more that theory might be accurate because, there's no adult John Connor in this trailer. As far as casting goes, there's a young version of John Connor. There's a young actor, like, recreating that performance.
Yeah, they say it's a guy who looks just like the young Edward Furlong, and they say they're going to use, like, a little bit of CG on his face. I get to get, the minute part of the detail. It's exactly on point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking he'll appear in just flashbacks, because there's not even a mention of John Connor in this trailer. There's just nothing about him. We see Sarah Connor. We see this new character, a girl who seems to be, to me at least, taking on the John Connor role. They're saying, oh, we have to protect her, protect the girl. She's running. There's, the new Terminator attacking her. And then we see this other cyborg character, I'm guessing it is, protecting her. And then they meet Sarah Connor.
Right.
And then they go on the run from the evil Terminator again.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen this.
Yes, I mean...
At least 2 times.
It sounds a lot like Terminator Salvation, just the whole aspect of being a human Terminator hybrid. Like, this is clearly someone with a human mind.
Right, and that's something I want to get into. The character does seem to be pulling from Salvation in the Marcus character, which was the first cyborg. It was, I think, intended to be the original infiltration unit, because up until that point, the only Terminators we had were, like, the big hulking T-600s, which had rubber skin, and so they weren't very convincing up close. So Marcus was supposed to be the first infiltrator, and then, then as we see by the end of the movie, they already have the T-800s, which then become the main infiltrators that we see in the flashbacks of T1.
Which would be, of course, the Arnold. Speaking of which, Arnold looks awesome in this trailer. It doesn't make much sense to me that he's capable of aging this rapidly, but, that's cool.
Yeah, well, he just looks like old Arnold with a beard, so...
Yeah, basically.
Like Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of weird, because I know he's supposed to be the Terminator still, right? So it's like, is this continuing Genisys or what? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, again, I still haven't seen Genisys as of the recording of this video, so I can't comment too heavily on that.
Yeah, well, like I said the last time, at the end of Genisys, he's still alive, and he's old, and it ends off that he's going to stick around to protect Sarah, or at least, work with her and Kyle Reese, so... I don't know, I think the door might still be open for them to say that Kyle Reese is alive and they have their son John Connor somewhere, but they're just in hiding, like, completely off the grid.
Right.
But one thing that counters that for me is the fact that it seems like they're protecting this girl, so it's like, is she the new John Connor now? Like, is she taking on the role of the leader of humanity, or else why would this other new cloning itself symbiote looking like a Ghost Rider guy Terminator be after her?
Yeah, so a couple things. I don't think it's like fully cloning itself. It looks like, based on the trailer, this new Terminator, this new model of Terminator, which I forget what the exact model number was. I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere online. But
I don't even know. I didn't see.
I got the sense that it's just splitting into 2 pieces, like the liquid metal form that makes up the exoskeleton and the endoskeleton itself, which is more reminiscent of the T-800. So it doesn't seem like it's like capable of creating like an army of itself. It's just like 2 distinct parts with, I guess, 2 minds that are sort of symbiotic. I
guess it's kind of like the TX, if it could take its liquid metal and just like form another copy of itself, like maybe an advanced version of the TX.
Yeah, no, I was
or
sort
maybe
of
less advanced.
Sense.
Who knows if that's even part of the timeline? I guess not.
I don't know. The timeline of the whole Terminator franchise makes very little sense at this point, especially when you throw in like the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I don't have too much else to say. I do want to say I didn't know until I saw this trailer that Tim Miller is directing this thing. Which, for anyone who's not aware, Tim Miller is the guy who directed the first Deadpool, who did an amazing job with it. This has a lot of promise to like restore the franchise to where it was in the age of the original trilogy. So,
well, and that's what they've been trying to do, and still have yet failed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's go off Tim Miller. So the visuals, to me, clearly you could see it's Tim Miller, because like when I especially look at the scene on the highway and the opening and the daylight scenes, it looks a lot like Deadpool. in terms of the visual aspect of it, the camera and the lighting and all that. I see a lot of people complaining about the quality of the effects, and to me, I don't know, I don't really have a problem with them. They seem fine. They seem just as good as Genisys. I think people who criticize it I think they're just seeing the fact that, we've seen these effects in so many, or we are seeing these effects in so many movies now, so to the point where we're just desensitized to it. Right. Whereas in like the original T1, T2, those effects were basically revolutionary for their time. In this movie, they're not revolutionary, so it kind of falls flat. It's not a wow factor. It's just, it does the job. It's not anything amazing.
I think it's franchise fatigue when it really comes down to it. Even if the movies were like really good, were really as good as the original trilogy, I don't think anyone's going to be happy with it unless it exceeds their expectations. I think people have such high expectations because of how great the first three, at least the very first two, if you're really picky. I personally like Rise of the Machines, but I know that's sort of a sore subject for a lot of Terminator fans.
And I think that's part of the problem why we keep seeing movies like this, because, of course, Salvation came out and it wasn't received that well. I personally liked it for one of the facts being that it did something different. It wasn't just, Terminator sent back in time to protect so-and-so. It advanced the story. We actually got to see the beginning of the whole War of the Machines, which, funny enough, I think that movie took place in 2018, which we're already past, yeah. So... it just throws a whole wrench in the futuristic aspect of the original timeline. But, yeah, so it wasn't received well, and then, so it didn't get the sequel that it should have gotten, which, like I said, if they had went further, we could have seen the actual future war, because the technology wasn't there yet, but it was going to get there. But instead we had Genisys, which was a reboot, and now we have this, which is a reboot, rehash, who knows what's going on. Like, if this movie doesn't do well, and, if the comments are any indication, it might just be like another Genisys situation where it does okay, but not good enough to, actually make a direct sequel to it, then we're literally going to have a trilogy of failed reboots.
Right.
Like, I just want them to stop trying to recreate the old movies, because, people think, oh, we're going to do that again. If you really want the old movies, just watch them.
Right.
Like, they're not going to ever get it to be that good if you set it, the bar at this impossibly high standard. It's not going to happen. Right. I'd rather just see an advancement of the story and not keep going back to the same old thing that we've already seen so many times.
Yeah, so the good news is, and I'm reading through another article here on the whole subject, it's apparently taking the Halloween route, where it's a direct sequel to Terminator 2. Apparently it's disregarding all the other Terminator movies, so Salvation...
Yeah, that's what they said the last time.
Yeah, well, Genisys was more or less a continuation on Salvation, right? I haven't seen Genisys, so I don't know if...
No, okay. It ignored anything... In fact, you could say it ignored 1 and 2 almost, because it basically retcons them with the whole time travel aspect of going even further back than them and then overriding all that.
Okay, so the reboots are less of a sequel franchise and more just independent sequels.
Yeah, they're all disjointed. Okay. Well, Salvation was definitely a direct continuation of Rise of the Machines, right. Which, again, I don't really have a problem with Rise of the Machines. Say what you want about it, but it was fine. It logically continued the story if the story was going to be continued.
Yeah.
If Terminator 2 really ended Judgment Day, that would be it. No more movies. So if they had to continue it, logically it would have to be, we see Judgment Day happening, and then that's what Terminator 3 is all about.
Right.
So, I don't
know. Okay.
I don't know. I think it's just a big missed opportunity. We could have seen the future war, but nope. We only got 5 minutes of it in Genisys.
Yep. Okay, so I think we've spent enough time on Terminator. Did you want to break into our second topic here?
Yeah, well, closing on it, about this cyborg character, yeah, like I already said, it's analogous to the Marcus character, which I thought was an interesting one, because it was the whole, humanity versus machine kind of conflict there, because remember, he was what was he? He was convicted of murder or something like that, and he was executed, but then when he's brought back, it's like he gets the chance to redeem himself. He's given this power by the machines it's kind of basically offers him anything he wants,
right?
In exchange for his loyalty or cooperation. But he says, no, I'm choosing my humanity. I'm choosing to save humanity. And so, that's when he helps John Connor escape. And then he makes the ultimate sacrifice by handing his own heart over to John Connor for a transplant.
Yeah.
So, and that's the whole thing about the franchise, right? It's about that the machines will inevitably underestimate humanity, and that's why they will lose.
Right.
See, it's a deep movie.
No, it's I think got a lot of present themes. I just think it's poorly executed.
I don't think they'll go to that depth with whoever this new cyborg character is, though.
Probably not. What you just saw was a segment from our weekly show, the Utterly Nonsense Podcast, which you can find on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere you can get your podcasts. To see more like this, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, and remember, it's not news, it's nonsense. Thanks for listening.